And then we have another story similar to the son of the sun. It's called Blood Clot, Irupish. And this takes a long time to tell this story, but I'm going to tell it in a short version. There was an old man and his wife, and they had 7 daughters. And a man came and took the oldest for his wife without asking permission. He just simply took her for his wife. And then later he married the other sisters. So he had 7 wives. And then there was a big famine. There was no buffalo to be found, and so all the people separated. They came down here to this place here, and they camped here, but there were no buffalo to be found. And then they stayed for a long time, and they had nothing to eat. So this man went hunting. He saw an animal in the distance disappearing over a hill, and he thought it might be a buffalo. So he followed this animal, and this animal disappeared into a hole. So he waited there for the buffalo to come out, but the buffalo didn't come out. So he went home and told his oldest wife. He said, I found some buffalo, but for some reason they went into a hole and won't come out. Early tomorrow morning, tell your father to come out and bring his bow and arrow and his knife. We will surely get some buffalo tomorrow. So early in the morning, the oldest wife went in and said, my husband wants you directly. He wants you to come and bring your bow and arrow and your knife. And he is going hunting today. So the father-in-law quickly picked up his bow and arrow and his knife and went with this man. And this man was a bad character. He was surly and he was mean to his wives and his father-in-law and mother-in-law. And they were afraid of him. So the father-in-law went along with him, and he took him directly to this hole in the earth. And he said to father-in-law, go down there in front of the hole, and I will wait up here, and if the buffalo comes out, I will surely kill him. And the father-in-law went down as he was told and stood in front of the big cave or hole. And so one buffalo came out and was angry. He was trying to charge, and the father-in-law said, shoot, but the son-in-law missed the buffalo. He did it on purpose. And then when the buffalo got near his father-in-law, he shot and killed him. And so they butchered the buffalo and took all the meat home. And they had a lot of meat, and father-in-law was happy. He thought he was going to have a lot to eat. But then when they went home, he took all his meat and took it to his teepee and gave nothing to the father-in-law and mother-in-law. All the sisters were also mean to their parents, and they didn't want to offend their husband, so they were all mean, just like the man. But the youngest daughter loved her parents, and so they butchered all the meat, and the man picked out the poorest meat that he could find. And he said, take these to your parents. So one of you take these to your parents. And so the youngest one took the poor meat to his parents, but unknown to the man, he picked up some good meat, good part of the meat, and hid it under her dress, and he went to her parents' teepee, but she did not go in. She threw the meat inside the teepee and said, Here, I brought you some meat. And so they had a lot of meat for a while, and then they finally ran out again. And now the father-in-law was reluctant because he did not give him any meat. But because he was afraid of him, he went with him, and the same thing happened again. They killed a buffalo. And when they brought it home, he didn't give the old people any meat. But then after he cut up the meat, he took the poorest part of the meat that he could find. And the youngest daughter went and gave them meat again. And this happened, they gave him less and less meat, and they were slowly starving to death. And on the 4th time they went, the old man was reluctant, and he took his bow and arrow, and he was trying to find some way to get rid of his son-in-law. So when he told him to go down into the cave, he went down, but he stood at a distance. when the buffalo came out, he ran as fast as he could, and the buffalo chased him. He shot the buffalo first, and then his son-in-law shot him, but the buffalo kept running. And as he ran, some blood clot ran out of his wound, and it landed on the earth. And the old man saw the blood clot, but the son-in-law didn't. So the old man, because he knew he was going to be given little meat, or no meat at all, he pretended like he was chasing the buffalo, and as he was running, he picked up the blood clot. And he hid it in his quiver, and pretended like he dropped his arrows. And then the son saw him picking up his arrows, and he said, "Good for nothing, you don't do anything I tell you. When you do something, you always do things wrong." And he was yelling at him, and he said, "You're not going to get any meat from me today." And so they went back, and the son-in-law didn't give them any meat. And so the father said, "I don't think we'll get any meat today, but I picked up some blood clot, if you could make some soup with it." And so the lady took his boiling pot and put the blood clot in it. And then suddenly she heard a baby crying, and she didn't know where it could be. It was coming from the pot where she put the blood clot. And when she looked in, there was a baby in there. So they took it and wrapped it up and took care of it. And because it was crying, the son-in-law heard it. "I think I heard a baby crying. Go and check." So the youngest daughter went to check. They told her, we have a baby. So she went back and told the son-in-law, "There is a baby in there." The son-in-law wanted to know if it was a boy or a girl. And nobody would go to check. So the youngest daughter went, and the old lady showed her the baby, but held it in such a way that it looked like a girl. Because she heard the son-in-law saying, "If it's a boy, I'll have to kill it." So she held it in a certain way that it looked like a girl. And the young sister saw this, and she came back and said, "It's a girl." So the son-in-law said, "Good, tell her to keep it, and I'll give them some food. So when she grows up, I'll also marry her." This boy, maybe a month later, he started talking. He started talking to the old lady, and the old lady couldn't believe it. She said, "This must be something, a powerful being. It's not one of us." And the boy told her, she said, "There are 4 teepee poles, the foundations of a teepee. Take me to the north side of the teepee poles, put my head against it, and then pick me up and put it by the door towards the east. And then pick me up and put it on one of the door poles again. And then pick me up and put my head against the last foundation pole." And when, as she was doing this, the boy was getting older and older and older. He was a grown man by the time he put his head against the 4th pole. And she said, "I am not one of you. I am one of the powerful beings." But he said, "If you will put my head against all the 4 foundation poles, I will be like you, but I will also be powerful." And so the lady did this, and the boy was a grown man. And so the son-in-law ran out of meat again. So he told the youngest sister to go and tell her father that they were going to go hunting the next morning. And so she came and said, "Get your bow and arrow and your knife ready. Our husband wants to go hunting." She looked in, she saw a young man sleeping at the west end of the teepee at the honor place. But she didn't say anything. She didn't tell her husband. And so early the next morning, the young man got up before everybody did, and he got himself ready. He went and took a bath and purified himself, and then he took the old man's weapons, and he said, let's go to this place where they find the buffaloes." And so he went with the old man. And when they got to the buffalo place, the old man did as he always did. He stood in front of the hole, and Blood Clot He called himself Blood Clot. He shot and killed the buffalo bull, the buffalo, and then another one came out and he killed 4 of them. And he said, this is enough, we'll take as much as we can. And when they got home, son-in-law was waiting for his father-in-law. He was waiting, and now he was furious. He said, I'll go and kill him right away. I want to kill him anyway. So he came out and with his weapons, and here Blood Clot was standing there, and he said, you want to kill somebody, kill me. The son-in-law was so surprised, he didn't know what to do. And the Blood Clot shot and killed him. He shot him 4 times. After he died, they went and took got some more buffalo again. And they released all the buffalo from that buffalo hole where they were hiding. And from then on, the buffalo were always in this area where they released them. After that, Blood Clot, he said, I have nothing else to do here. You have plenty to eat. And my sisters will take care of you now. And I want to go roaming around this place. I want to see what's on the other side of the hill.